Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me as co-host Macy O'Dill. We are awaiting Punchy and Nikita Robinson as well. But of course, Maceo, we start this evening's show off with some horrific news over the weekend of the passing of Osachi Bascom. Difficult time for not just the East End family, but football across the island, and the several clubs that he touched over during his professional time over in Europe as well. We're in some difficult times.
Yeah, I mean, first, I would like to extend the condolence to the Bascom family. I know them quite well. I have a history with the Bascom family through time with Northwoods and also to the Fogo family, and the St. George's family. It's difficult for me, right? It's a heavy heart. I have a heavy heart with this, right? Because it just hurts too much to keep seeing these things happening, and I want to address it like this because this is a very sensitive time for us, and I want to address it like this. I know many years ago, back in the '60s, in the U.S., that they changed laws to protect their kids from accidents that were related to, and follow me here, accidents that were related to drink driving. They actually changed the laws and changed the culture when they legalized alcohol. And our kids are suffering when they leave home. Like, as a parent, was scared. Like, I'm scared. I'm absolutely scared as a parent when my kid leaves home and he goes out into this society. And I know Asaji very, very well, man. He's a good kid, man. I've spent some time in Spain with him, and he has a lot to offer. So this is difficult. And then when I look at the Bascom family and the suffering that the Bascom family have done, and they're a sports family. They're a sports family, and they're suffered a lot. They're suffering a lot, and just what are we gonna do to change this dynamic? We need to do something different to change this dynamic. This just shouldn't be happening. And I say it with a heavy heart. It's we have to have some very, very tough conversations with ourselves. We really have to have tough conversations to protect our future.
Definitely. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to have some tough conversations with ourselves, man. This just hurts too much.
Mm. And I would also like to extend condolences to the Bascom Fogo family. As you say, I've known, I was a classmate of his mom's, coached and played with Herbie. It is a difficult time. It is very difficult for so many reasons. We look at it as a sports side, but we've lost a human being.
Yeah.
And a family has lost a loved one. So
our kids
right now,
our kids should be able to safely go out. They should be able to safely go out and safely return home. They should be able to do that. We just have to do something. We have to figure out what's going on and fix it. And like I said, I draw a reference to what I know what happened in the U.S. and Canada when kids were a high rate of death was happening because of drink driving out there. They changed laws. Parents came together and they loved it. They talked. They had to do whatever they had to do to figure out how to save their kids from the dangers of life. And this is what we have to do. We have to figure out how to save our kids, man.
No. We're going to just pause for a moment to remember Osachi Bascom. Well, there were matches that were postponed yesterday, a First Division match and a Premier Division match that was scheduled for BAA Field. And then, of course, the St. George's Coast Somerset Trojans match was postponed. But we did have football today. Let's just quickly run down some of the scores. In the Premier Division up at Southampton Oval, it was Southampton Rangers 2, North Village Rams 2. At PHC Stadium, it was PHC 5, Devonshire Colts 1. And then in First Division play, it was Vasco 1, Boulevard Blazers 3. That was at Southampton Oval. At PHC Stadium, Hamilton Parish defeated Young Men's Social Club 5-2. And at Malabar, St. David's defeated Island Rangers 1-0. Let's jump right into the first match that we mentioned here. North Village Rams had taken the lead, but Rangers equalized, and then actually Rangers went ahead. This was after 2 players were sent off for each team. A player for each team was sent off, and then Rangers took the lead, and then North Village Rams were able to equalize late in the game to come away for 2-2 draw. But looking at the two teams, obviously, we've been talking about the injection of Dion Stovall, and unfortunately, today was one of the days where they concentrated on him. They had a player concentrating. Every time he touched the ball, he was getting kind of roughed up, and I think emotions took over. That saw him get a straight red card along with Jalen Harvey. So, not just this affects this particular game, but I believe a straight red card is 3 games. So how do you think this actually affects now Southampton Rangers?
Yeah. Is this a weird fateful twist that I'm left here by myself to have a conversation about that game in North Village? And is this a setup? Like, that all the games were canceled, I'm gonna sit here and have this conversation? All right, let me try to put this conversation in some football perspective. Let me try. I mean, I was at that game today. I was at the game today. So as it relates to the Dion Stovall factor, actually the Rangers were very strategic using them as a decoy. They were actually very strategic in using Dion as a decoy, and it was obvious that Village was over focused on him. They were over focused on him, and they let themselves down in other areas. Village, instead of, it's strange for me. It's strange for me to see Village uneasy about playing Rangers. Like, to be honest, they should beat Rangers, just because they're Village. So that's strange for me. In finding Village in that type of position. And the Dion Stovall factor for Rangers is going to be a big problem because he's going to get three games, and I think quite rightly so that he received a straight red, and quite rightly so that Jalen Harvey also received a three straight. I mean, straight red. So that's a big miss for North Village as well, because he's one of the senior players. He's international. Jalen Harvey. He brings a bit of stability stuff and a bit of attitude towards stuff. So big deal for both clubs who they're losing. Who they're losing.
Let's talk a little bit about North Village, because there are some pluses with that team. They had a young man and girl who stood tall at times. You can see he still needs some work, but being given an opportunity at a young age, it's got to be one of those things where it's a bright future for North Village in that position, to have someone solidify that position at such a young age.
It's twofold, right? Because he's got potential and he needs work, and this is where I go off in tangent. Where, when we got these kids that have these potential, we've got to give them. We've got to service them to get the work. So he's now at 16. He's now put in a big responsible position. He's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders now, and because those things can go both ways. How do you protect him? Still at 16, he needs protection. And North Village is not there to protect him. The defenders are not there to protect him. I look at Dwayne Adams going to North Village School at 16, he had some very senior players around him that could protect him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had players around him that would protect him, that knew that he was 16, knew that he was the future, you know, knew the potential and is protected. North Village don't have protection for this kid now. You know, he's fully exposed, and now it becomes, because he's got a bit of ability about him. Now it becomes an expectation that he does well. You know, and there's nobody on the bench. There's no, if he's having a tough time, there's not another goalkeeper there. So that can go either way. And North Village is moving into a tough time because they can't win, and they're not used to this. They're not used to this. They're not used to being in this position. And I dare not start talking about a conversation about North Village dropping into the bottom three. Like I can't handle that conversation emotionally.
They were 7 minutes away from it today.
Yeah, I can't handle that. I'm not ready for that conversation. But I sense the crowd. I sense the people around North Village is a level of frustration. It's a level of serious frustration that they have, and at that moment, and
well, you were talking about the young man and girl 16. I remember a couple of years ago, when Jaden Manders ended up in goal for the Dendy Town Hornets at that same age, and he's come come on really, really well.
That's a good comparison, right? But Jaden Manders had Pookie Manders around him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I'm talking about, the support. So Jaden Manders would have had Pookie Manders around him that has that type of experience. So that they still need that type of support, and that they need something like that around him. And he would have, outside of Jaden Manders having Anthony Manders, Pookie Manders around him, he would have also had Jacon Edness around him, a bigger brother. He would have also had people of certain sporting stature that can keep him very, very balanced about the responsibility that he has. So now Jaden Manders at 20 years old, like, you could see the behavior, like, he's ready now. Like his rating, his experience, he can take a loss. He can recover from a mistake. If Jaden Manders makes a mistake, the next game is going to be all right. Know? So that's a very good comparison. And now we have to look at who Jaden Manders had around him. So I'm always all for the kids, getting the opportunity, but they need support.
Right. Well, let's mosey down to the PHC Stadium, because PHC kind of came out of what we would consider a slump. They edged Crossroads. They drew with somebody, and then they drew
North Village. Yeah, they drew North Village.
Drew North Village, and then they lost to Dendy Town. But today they managed a 5-1 win over Devonshire Colts. Are you surprised by the scoreline after I guess Devonshire Colts, really getting his team to manage games, be defensively strong, but you say you're not surprised by the score?
No, I'm not surprised by the score. I was getting full of myself because I saw a good performance of Devonshire Colts against Dendy Town. Like, I saw the opportunity. I was getting full of myself with that. But what happens is they put in a good performance, and it happens in Bermuda so much, right? You put in a good performance against Dendy Town, but you measure yourself based on, did I win or lose? As soon as I didn't win, okay, that good performance
is not good anymore.
It's not good anymore.
Yeah.
It's not good anymore because I didn't win, and we're not analyze all the details of it. So with that not winning, Colts is responding in the way that now the coach has to capture them again, like how because players are like that. Players are from game to game. Players are playing to win at that level, and if they don't win, they're not going to say anything, but they're going to look at the coach. They're going to look at the coach, and the coach can be absolutely telling them the right thing and talking about the right things, And I can share experience with, like, winning at that level. Sometimes I didn't play North Village football to win.
Mm.
Like I'm saying, kick the ball up the front and let it drop down in the goal and let us get the result. In 2 weeks, and start to get confidence on win, because at that level they want to win. At the youth level, it's different. I wouldn't do that at the youth level. It's like we're going to do the things that are correct to be able
Right.
to learn. So
Right.
culture on that downward spiral, that you could see it. To take 5 against PHC today.
Mhm.
That sends volumes and messages. And Colts now could potentially slip themselves down into that bottom 3. That's going to get exciting.
Well, they'll need to lose 2 more games, and the only team that could possibly catch them in the bottom 3 is Rangers, who have 5 points, because Colts have 10 points. So they have a little bit of cushion.
Caution.
Not no time to It's not time to press that panic button, because they still have 2 teams below them,
Yeah.
2 points behind them. But a win for either one of those teams, they leapfrog them. But the good thing is, you still have to play those teams behind you, and we've been saying this week in and week out. Beat the teams below you, and you are safe. And
Mm.
that's what they've done to get where they are. I mean, they picked up wins over Eagles,
The teams that they should have beat. Yeah.
Crossroads, teams they should have beaten. So so that is one of the things that they have to concentrate on. The more organized teams, such as the PHCs, the Dandytons, and then the like. You have to try to manage those games, and unfortunately today was not a good day. But as you said, if you play well, regardless of the result, if that momentum is carried through to the next game, you're going to see results eventually. And I think we concentrate a lot on results when you have. I mean, if you look at Rays, probably got the youngest team in the league,
Sure.
combined age.
Sure.
So those are the type of things you have to look at and say to yourself, okay, eventually these youngsters will get it. They've been young for a long time.
Mm.
They've come of age in the league, from being young, and eventually the success they had in the first division, because eventually they got to be the better teams in the first division. They will eventually grow together in the Premier Division, because the game is a lot faster, it's more demanding, and yet it's unforgiving, because if you make a mistake in the Premier Division, you could be buried right away.
Mm. No, I totally agree with that. But I know the mentality of the players. I know the mentality of all players. You know, all players start this league. Like, for instance, when Colts beat North Village, there were some of the players that had the confidence to come up to me and have that conversation with me. And like, we beat North Village, we're ready.
Right.
And I like that. I actually like that piece. I like that confident piece. I like the bench. I like that. But then I want to see, can you back it up again? Can you back it up again when the things are difficult? So that's why I like a Dion Stabile, right? I like a Dion Stabile because he could be done, and he's gonna still express himself in a certain way that is like, okay, watch what I do next. So Colts actually do need a little bit of arrogance in them. They do need a bit of arrogance, because they're not, I'm seeing that they need a bit of arrogance in them. But I know with players and males that the confidence go high and low quickly. Females' confidence build gradually, 1, 2, 3, and they build. Males are the up or down.
Yeah.
Males are good or bad.
Yeah, play all on that emotion.
Yeah, so they're very like that when it comes to sports. So then it becomes a tricky balance articulating that you actually done a good job. But you know what? We just didn't get the result, or the other team done a job that was better than the job that we done. And how do we push that on? That's a tricky piece to articulate.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll look at those first division scores, including the Wednesday night draw between the Boulevard Blazers and Island Rangers. We'll be right back.
John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's foremost distributor of fine beverages, is bringing on the joyful festivities this winter with Barrett Stone Ginger Beer. We've extolled the virtues of this traditional Bermudian drink before. It's refreshing and spicy and wonderful in the kitchen. Google cooking with ginger beer and you'll be amazed by the diversity and wow factor of the recipes. As our good friend Bruce Barrett says, bubbly, tasty, full of spice, refreshing and exciting. When it hits your taste buds, mate, full flavor is igniting. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Maceo, on Wednesday night out at BAA Field, Island Rangers travel from Dockyard down to play the Boulevard Blazers. With that match ending in a scoreless draw, I know we had a lot to talk about that particular match because we were looking at Island Rangers being on the high, Boulevard at home sort of thing. Regardless of our picks, what did you think of that outcome? Even with Island Rangers going down to 9 men.
For those two teams to have a scoreless draw, that don't make a whole lot of sense to me, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that those two teams were, they can play a game and have a scoreless draw.
Scoreless draw, yeah.
Compared to what the defense is like and then what their attacks are like, because both of them are struggling to defend, to be organized, and
right,
and both of them are capable of attacking.
Yes.
So that's a very, very strange result for me, that to get a scoreless draw, out of those two teams.
Yeah. And then today they turn around and score 3 times on Vasco at Southampton Oval.
Now that makes more sense to me.
Right.
That makes more sense to me that Boulevard beat Vasco at Southampton Oval, because technically Boulevard's players are going to be better. Physically, they're going to be better. And Southampton Rangers is a small field, so they can get to that goal very quickly with their skill
right.
set.
Right.
And Vasco's organization was going to be counteracted by the small field and the skillfulness of the Boulevard player. So just generally speaking, faster and better technical players, they can play in smaller spaces. So it suits them. And they tend to be lazier, right? The technical players tend to be lazy. They don't like to run up and down the field.
Right. But the funny thing is, the longer the score stays 0-0, the more deflated they become, because as we know, once a team scores a goal, everybody's up. Everybody raises up. And you saw that in the second game at Southampton Oval. The minute Rangers went ahead for about a 7-minute period, they were dominating. They
looked like they could put the game away.
Yeah. And they almost did. But the longer North Village were able to keep it at 2-1, they were able to get back into the game. But back to Vasco, another team that they're going to have to figure out a way to stop leaking these goals. They're not scoring enough to play that out and out, I'll attack while you'll attack. They need to figure a way, and I think the best way to do that is start to work on that defense to shore it up first.
Yeah, my criticism of the coaches and the games that I've seen, and I'm going to use Danny Tan as the standard. Danny Tan as the standard for the league at the point of watching Danny Tan be able to put the player puzzle together I see them put the player puzzle together. They're putting the players in the right positions in far as the formation, and the players have the right information, and they're making the right substitutes. Everybody else that I've watched all the teams now. They struggle with that puzzle. They struggle with putting that puzzle together. So if we're getting back to Vasco, okay, yes, they come with an organized plan, but now in the organized plan, do you have players in the right positions at the right time to implement that plan? So Hamilton Parish actually do it well as well. Well, I saw a bit of them at PHC. They do it well. They actually got an organized plan, and they got their players in the right position at the right times of the game. Cross-referencing back to North Village. North Village, I watched them today. They seem to be very apprehensive about as it relates to learn how to use the North Village type players. So they had a Jakeem Jennings, Shy Jennings on the bench. They had Jared Richardson on the field, and if you figure out how to get all those three younger players on the field together, then you get a different outcome. So the coaching staff struggled at North Village to be able to put that player puzzle together to create rhythm, and that's what I saw of Vasco. I see out of Vasco as well. Yes, it's an organized plan, but other puzzle pieces, which is the players, together, and Danny Tanner doing that well. Danny Tanner doing that well. PAC was doing it well for a minute. PAC was also doing it very well. But I saw them drop off the pace with it a bit. Don't know what was happening internally, but I saw that.
Yeah. Well, up at Malabar, Island Rangers for the second straight game failed to score. But they conceded this time with St. David's getting a goal to win 1-0. You're shaking your head because it's unpredictable football.
St. David's don't usually win out of St. David's, man.
But you packed them up last week.
I'm telling you. And if
you packed them up last week, you guys said that's St. David's, the cricketers.
Yeah, somebody gives me a call and said, because people's now seeing me and say, well, I'm going to shut you up. Yeah, you told me. I'm like, oh boy, what am I started here?
They took the cricket gear up there, put it on the side, and put it on football boots and won.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe they took the cricketers up there. The thoroughbred St. David's people, man. Maybe they did the dance. I don't know. I'm seeing them. I'm watching like of put a picture. I'm watching them in cricket. Just watch them call on the ancestors, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the ancestors gave them a break and say, well, listen, bro, we're gonna let you win a football game.
Well, you know what it is? Let me show you what it is. So they traveled Dockyard. Dockyard is considered like St. David's, part of Somerset, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. It's a ride.
Well, a part of Sands, but the Dockyard. So they're like St. David's. So they went here.
Yeah.
Just at the other end.
Got you. So they was in the natural habitat there.
Yes, man.
That makes perfect sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to everybody else, but they said, well, you Dockyard guys won your own parish. You St. David's guys won our own parish, and we're better than you. We deserve our own parish before
There you go.
Yeah, we deserve our own parish before you Dockyard guys, and we're going to say we deserve our own parish.
There you go.
That makes absolute perfect sense to me. I get it now. No, see, I didn't factor that in. I didn't factor that piece in. So forgive me, St. David, for not factoring that piece in. You won the battle of the new parishes.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the final first division game, it was a battle, top of the table battle between Hamilton Parish and Young Men's Social Club. Top of the table battle meaning that Young Men's Social Club were leading the league on. They had 12 points from 5 games. Hamilton Parish had only played 3 games coming into this one and had 9 points. But since which now they have 12 points and they're in taking the lead back in the league. But no surprise there, is it?
No surprise there. A good beat down. Young Men's Social Club got a good beat down because what you got is organization and good players. Now meet good players. So Social Club, I would contest. I've been impressed with some of their players and their effort. I've seen it, but now you've got organized. Sergio Gutta is ahead of the pack with his tactical approach and his organizational piece. You know, as he, I mean, I actually, I'll try to get him down North Village. He doesn't get mad at me down Hamilton Parish, right? You know, but everybody's mad at me. So, you know, I think I operate better when people are mad at me anyway. So, but Sergio definitely, he was going to bring the organization, right? He was going to bring an organization, and he's putting the puzzle pieces together. You know, I want to see him. I want to see Hamilton Parish be challenged to see what they do. Like, and I guess in the FA potentially they can get challenged. You know, playing a Premier team, because I think they're capable of beating Premier teams too. You know, I think they'll beat a good 75% of the Premier teams where they're at now with their organization, where they're at with their confidence, where they're at with their belief in what the coaches ask them of them to do. You know, so you know the only thing for Hamilton Parish is, are they going to be invincible in it? You know, are they going to be invincible? Hamilton Parish is in the same position as Dannytown, and Dannytown fans think I'm doing a trick here by saying, do they win the trophy now and now or later? They actually think I'm doing a trick here. They think I'm trying that reverse psychology stuff on them. I'm not really buying that, you know. But Hamilton Parish are in the same position. Do they want to give them do they want to take the trophy now or later? Right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Island Rangers will be talking as they were ones that took 2 points from Hamilton Parish with that draw down at Wellington Oval.
Yeah, that will be their claim to fame, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If nothing else happens for them, they will say they were the first ones to take 2 points from them, because obviously 3 points for a win, 1 for a draw. So that's 2 points that they didn't get. But you know, Hamilton Parish appear right now to be unbeatable.
It's another factor that's happened. And now Hamilton Parish didn't play a game for a game getting cancelled and Spurs for 3 weeks, and they kept themselves together. And then the first game they play is a top of the table match, and they thrashed somebody 5-1. That's a message in itself.
Right.
They thrashed the nearest opponent 5-1. I quietly think that they will struggle against BA because of the respect that Sergio Goda is going to show for Andrew Bascom, who's been his mentor for a little bit. You know, Sergio's a little bit different from me, and for a point is like, if I'm got somebody down, I want to step on their head, right? You know, I'm like, I'm gonna keep you down. You know, I think he has the potential to overthink the game against BA because he's coming up against his mentor with Andrew. You know,
right.
So that becomes interesting, and BA is gonna have the influx of some players that Andrew's developed from the youth that came back from school and stuff like that. So that's gonna make it interesting. You know, Andrew's has young untested players at 16 been playing for him. You know, he's gonna get some players that's got some experience about him now. You know, and some youth about him.
Yeah. Well, let's take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more of the Island Stats Football Show. We'll be right back.
We're spotlighting a Bermudian company who produces staple foods and other essential products that are integral to our Bermudian way of life and are surprisingly affordable. Bermuda's Best products started out in the late 90s with Bermuda's Best Codfish, which definitely got your attention. Then came Bermuda's Best Mayonnaise, matching the heavy hitters in flavor and true to the Bermuda Best formula, low in price. Further diversification has ensued, resulting in the inception of Bermuda's Best Concentrated Laundry Detergent, a special feature this month. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Welcome back. There was one other Premier Division game that was scheduled to take place today that did not. Some confusion. Crossroads against Devonshire Cougars. Crossroads had written in to have the game postponed. The committee, the competition committee, had denied the written suggestion, or the having the match postponed. And then the match officials get to the Garrison Field today. Pitches deemed playable, but neither team showed up.
The BFA's got a decision to make, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a decision to make, and after they collect all the details of the decision, and usually in the spirit of football, if a team's defaults a game, the other team actually comes on the field. They come on the field, and we'll go back to the North Village Dandytown game in the late 2000, in the early 2000, where North Village showed out of Devonshire Rack, and they was on the field. Dandytown didn't show up. It was a friendship replay. It was some confusion around that, and the game was awarded to North Village.
Right.
So, but North Village came on the field.
Yeah.
So
they handed in. They done everything game day that they're supposed to
do. Handed in team sheets. They handed in that. So the BFA has got a decision to make.
Right. One of the interesting things would be why didn't the opponents show up?
Yeah, exactly.
If they were notified by the home team that the game was called off, you don't go by that. You have to go by the association.
The authority of the game.
Yeah. So
as it looks in my eyes, without knowing all the details, both clubs could lose the points.
Yeah. The match would show as not played. Well, it would show as played. No results given. No points given. No goals for, no goals against, and not 1 point. Yeah. So that could be one decision. Another decision could be to replay the game. There's several ways, but I'm really curious as to why the opponents didn't show up, and I think that's going to come down to the factor of how this will play out.
I'm taking a guess at it, knowing the landscape, is that the opponents probably knew that Crossroads wasn't going to show up, and they took it upon themselves. They took it upon themselves to say, "Well, I'm not going to St. George's if the opponent's not going to show up. I'm not wasting my time going to St. George's." But that's not the correct way to go about it.
No, in order to get the points, you must show up.
In order to get the points, you must show up. You must be on the field. So it's gonna be interesting how this one plays out, right?
Definitely.
It's going to be very interesting how this one plays out, and that all eyes are all going to be on the BFA. All eyes are going to be on the BFA as to how they play this one out.
Right. Now with the two matches yesterday evening postponed, I would imagine that those matches will be played sometime through this week. As in the lead up to obviously Christmas Day is Saturday. There's 3 Premier and 3 First Division games on Sunday, and then on Monday there's a Premier and a First Division, and then on Tuesday there's a Premier and a First Division. So there's a lot of football to be played over the coming week, and even when the schedule was released in the press conference, Shannon Burgess, the chairman of the competition committee, indicated that it's going to be tough to try and make up games. Unfortunately, we've had some games that had to have been canceled or postponed due to several reasons, and of course, we know the St. George's and Somerset match today was postponed due to the unfortunate circumstances. I'm trying to figure out reasons behind Crossroads writing in to have the match postponed. One of the first thing when I saw that the match was postponed, the first thing came to my mind was, "Oh, don't tell me they've had the same problem that they have at least once a season. A game is not played because their field is not ready." But I was assured that the the field was ready to play, but neither team showed up. So match officials left.
Yeah, I'm hearing on the ground. And it's a very sensitive issue. I'm hearing on the ground that Crossroads, in respect of Asaji, they requested not to play.
Right.
Then the BFA is like, okay, but your Crossroads. You know, your Crossroads. Our tradition and our history has been, okay, the club, the immediate club that's impacted by that. I know you guys are friends with Asaji and all those things, but the immediate club that's been impacted by it, we give priority to that situation. You know, and that's been historically what we're done. I mean, when we looked at Dannytown, 3-4 weeks ago with Richardson, you know, Dannytown's game was postponed, and both clubs can agree to that. I'm hearing that Cougars did not agree to not have the game not played. They wanted the game to be played. You know, they wanted to be so. That's what the people on the ground are telling me it was the reason they requested. And I think from the BFA standpoint, it was reasonable for them to say, no, actually you have to play the game.
Right.
It was reasonable enough that you have to play the game. And that just leads me to another conversation about something that we might want to have as we move forward. Learn Asaji, like I do. And learn even Tino Richardson. They will want the game played.
Right.
They will want, and the players want to play, because sports is just a healer. It's a healer. Like, it's a healer, because in those moments, we just actually do need a distraction from the pain. We do need a distraction from the pain in those moments, and sports does that. Sports does that. So if you see everywhere else in the world, they actually play it. They play the game, and they recognize the person doing the game. And even in playing the game, it gives you a new level of motivation. It gives you something. It gives you something extra. It gives you something extra when you're playing the game, and you're playing the game under these passionate and emotional circumstances. Because the game is emotional, right? It is emotional. So it may be a conversation that we want to figure out how to have. I actually think it's a respect to play it, because that's what that person would want. That, you know, if it was me, Bermuda, if it was me that passed away or anything, play the game. Keep sports going.
Right.
Play it.
Definitely. Well, we're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to take our picks. Look at our picks for this weekend going by and the weekend coming up, Sunday matches. We'll be right back.
John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's foremost distributor of fine beverages, is bringing on the joyful festivities this winter with Barrett Stone Ginger Beer. We've extolled the virtues of this traditional Bermudian drink before. It's refreshing and spicy and wonderful in the kitchen. Google cooking with ginger beer and you'll be amazed by the diversity and wow factor of the recipes. As our good friend Bruce Barrett says, bubbly, tasty, full of spice, refreshing and exciting. When it hits your taste buds, mate, full flavor is igniting. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Maceo, another challenging week of picks for everyone. We know the Robin Hood Somerset Eagles game was not played, and we'll start with the Premier Division, was not played yesterday. But the next match was PHC Zebras versus Devonshire Colts. And everyone took PHC in that match. The other two matches that were not played, Crossroads and Devonshire Cougars, St. George's Colts and Somerset Trojans, we'll have to put those down when we do come to them. Then Southampton Rangers and North Village Rams. Punchy and myself took North Village, as well as Nikita, and Maceo, you took Rangers. You were just moments away from getting that right.
I tell you, I don't vote with North Village with my heart. I told you guys that. I don't vote with. I see what's happening. I see what's happening, and Stricker built North Village, right? So he knows how to unlock it, right? When you build something, you can break in the window and everything like that. So Stricker was about, he almost broke in the window. He knocked over the beers halfway through. The unstoppable. Beers knocked over, right?
Yeah.
You can break any house that you built, right? So.
Well, no one got that right. So in the Premier Division, everyone got one. Then in the First Division, it was Boulevard Blazers and Island Rangers, that Wednesday night game. Myself and Punchy took Boulevard. Maceo, you and Nikita took Rangers. That match ended in a scoreless draw, so nobody gets points there. BAA and Wolves was not played. And then Island Rangers versus St. David's. All four of us took Island Rangers.
Island Rangers going south. They're going south. Something's happening. I'm gonna do an investigation. I'm gonna go up to talk to my mate Van to see what's happening, because they're going south. And we know they can go south. We know they're capable of going south.
It wouldn't be a surprise because it's happened before.
Yeah, so Island Rangers off the good momentum start. They're going south, man.
Right. Then the next match was Vasco and Boulevard. Myself and Punchy took Vasco. You and Nikita took Boulevard, so you both got a point there. And then the final game, Hamilton Parish versus Social Club, with Parish, everyone taking. So in the end of it all, I had 2, moving me to 24. Punchy got 3, moving him to 29. Maceo and Kita got 3, moving them both to 27. But we still have those 4 matches, one First Division and 3 Premier Division matches to be played whenever rescheduled by the association. So we'll wait and see when those are rescheduled. But now it's Christmas week, and there is a match. There are 3 Premier Division matches on Sunday and 3 First Division matches on Sunday. And what we'll do is we'll only pick those because we'll still have an opportunity on next week Sunday to pick the Monday and the Tuesday matches, as well as any rescheduled matches. So we'll just do the Sunday matches. And we start off in the Premier Division, a battle of Devonshire. Devonshire Colts host Devonshire Cougars at Police Field. I'll go first. I'm going to go with Devonshire Cougars.
Oh, definitely Devonshire Cougars. Those big cats are they're gonna eat up those Colts.
Okay, all right. There is a match scheduled for Garrison Field between Crossroads and St. George's Colts. Unsure if that match will be played, but if it is to be played, who do you take?
St. George's Colts.
Okay, and I'm going to go to St. George's as well. And the final Premier Division match, it's rivalry Sunday. Let's put it like that, because the 2 Devonshire teams play, the 2 East End teams play, and then the 2 teams in the Southampton Warwick area play, because Southampton Rangers host the PHC Zebras. I'm gonna take PHC.
Oh yeah. PHC is gonna be too much for Southampton Rangers, and no the unstoppable.
What's that? No the unstoppable. Yeah. It's gonna be a hard one for them. It's gonna be tough because they rely. I mean, you've seen the transition since he's been available, and the other guys have been available, and they managed to get a draw without him scoring today. Mm-hmm. Which kind of gives the other players confidence. You got a girl from Travis Wilkinson and a girl from Janai Bean to kind of help them. That's confidence in the team.
Yeah, and I mean I could see the organizational piece that's coming out of Southampton Rangers.
Mm.
With what they got, they're organizing with what they actually hear.
Mm-hmm.
Today Travers went off late. He must have been tiring.
Yeah.
I'd have forced him to stay on the field just to stay there, his presence.
Mm.
And it's amazing. Travers is pushing 40 now.
Yeah.
And he's clever enough to get on the ball and make good decisions. I'd have just made him stay there.
Right.
I'd made him stay on the field. So with what Rangers got, they are organized, but they just don't have the quality to push across the line.
Right. No, Streaker's like we talk about. Streaker's a smart coach.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's going to have a run and gun PHC team, but the field's small.
Mm-hmm.
So what they can, there's ways in which to keep PHC in front of them as opposed to letting them get behind them, and that's by making the field shorter. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be a plan for him in place.
The general plan with that is you park the bus.
Yes.
Right? That's the general plan that you do, but you don't want to let PHC get in your half too many times.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if you park the bus, you gotta have good enough quality. You gotta have good enough quality to not make a bad decision. Like Rangers players are miskicking balls and misjudging where they are.
Yes.
So you have to sometimes even look at football in Bermuda a little backwards. Like Rangers might have to high press PHC to keep them away from the goal.
Right.
And frustrate them on the other half of the field.
Mm-hmm.
But that has.
But you gotta have more than one plan, but on a team like that, because plan one on the day may not work.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to understand both plans on the day that when we make the change, everybody's in tune. Not half the team still, if it's high press at the beginning, half the team still high pressing because that was the plan and that's the only plan they know. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I can't see no way of Rangers getting anything out of the game of PHC, and then there's a rivalry, right? PHC want to beat Rangers anyway.
Yeah. Those two teams love when the other goes down because they bring a coffin out. They do the whole marching of the.
I'll be surprised if PHC can't get 6 off Rangers. I mean, I'm even going as far as that PHC is hungry right now. Antoine Russell scored today. Enrique Russell scored today. Marco Warren scored today. The little young kid, the left footer.
Zakiah Lewis, he's back. I mean, Zakiah Lee, he's back. Yeah, he scored.
He scored today.
Mm-hmm.
PHC is hungry, and they don't like what happened to him against Dannytown. They don't like that. Right. And that's what good teams respond like that. They don't like that. So somebody's got to get licks because they couldn't beat up at Dannytown. They're going to beat somebody up.
And the other plus is now they have an influx of players who have come back from school.
Yeah.
Who will be hungry to get into the team over this Christmas break.
Yeah, they're pushing the envelope right now. It's not a good time for Rangers. But I've been wrong before. People have shot me up.
Well, yes, we have. But the odds of us being wrong this time are slim. Very slim. So now let's jump into the First Division. As at the Wellington Oval, Hamilton Parish will host the Boulevard Blazers.
That's trickier than we think it is,
I know.
That's trickier than we think it is. Boulevard, just for the sake of it, they want to beat Hamilton Parish. Just because they feel like it.
Yes.
Just because they feel like it, they'll want to say, well, we're not even going to win the league or anything. Well, we're going to beat you, Hamilton Parish, because what about a player?
Right.
But I can't see it. I can't see it.
It feels too big for that.
I can't see it. The field's too big. Sergius can have his team too prepared, too organized.
Mm-hmm.
And the Boulevard bullying ways is not going to intimidate Hamilton Parish.
And they have an influx of players back from academies and school as well. So that's
Parish have some players down there that are jams that are not being talked about. The Richardson brothers down there. To go with Otterbridge, the Korean Otterbridge.
Mm-hmm.
They have actually, good football players.
The young player Walker
Walker.
Yeah.
That's Irvin Burgess' son. Walker.
Yeah.
You know, they have some good players, and you know, my good friend Mandingo Mendes, he says I don't speak highly enough of Hamilton Parish, right? As to what's going on. He's really disappointed on me that I don't give Hamilton Parish enough airtime.
Well, you give Sergio all the credit. You don't give Hamilton Parish credit. You give Sergio.
He's rapped me on the knuckles for that, right? He's rapped me on the knuckles for that, you know, as to the community of Hamilton Parish and what they're doing down there. So also they're feeling themselves right now, right?
Yeah.
And quite rightly so.
Yes.
Quite rightly so. They're feeling themselves down there, and I like when that happens. I like when people are feeling themselves. So Hamilton Parish is not going to let this one slide.
Okay. I've actually chosen Hamilton Parish as well. Then we move to Paget Lions are at Southampton Oval against Wolves.
Oh, Wolves.
Huh? Wolves?
Wolves, for sure. Paget's not winning the game. I tell you that. Yeah. Paget's presidents keep coming after me. He works in my building. His president, Jamie, he works in my building.
Right.
You know, and he's threatening me now. So if you guys see me going missing, go see Jamie.
I'm pretty sure.
My show I'm missing is Jamie.
I'm pretty sure. I would never say, because football in Bermuda is so unpredictable. I would never put my mouth on that a team would not win a game this season. But I mean, it's going to be hard for Paget. But there will be a day that they'll have an opportunity to win. But just not this day. I also pick Wolves. So.
Not this day. Earl's being nice to you guys.
And then the final game on the Sunday, on Boxing Day, it is St. David's hosting Vasco at Lord's.
Jesus, St. David's.
I'm going with Vasco.
Jesus, St. David's, man. Hey, you Billy Boys better not let me down. I'm picking Penny. Yeah, you Billy Boys down to pray to the ancestors. So whatever you like to do, sit around the TP, you know, go fishing, you know, take your shoes off, walk around in the street, whatever you like to do what you have to do to win this game against Vasco. I'm picking St. David's, man.
Okay, you pick St. David's, I pick Vasco. You know, so there we have it. We have the 6 picks for Sunday, which will be Boxing Day, and then of course Monday and Tuesday are holidays as well. And we have a Premier and a First Division match on Monday, and a Premier and a First Division match on Tuesday that we will actually get to on Sunday. But again, Maceo, we want to end tonight's show again with condolences to the Bascom Fogo family and the entire football community of Bermuda on the loss of Osagie Bascom this weekend. And we'll end the show with a moment of silence. Good night.